We left Zug, 5 children, 14 pieces of luggage in a limousine to go to the Zurich airport. Flew from Zurich to Paris. And the first thing that happened, we're all in the taxi going to the train station in Paris to catch the train to Le Havre. And before the last exit on the interstate there, the rest of the way would have been into Paris, he says, I never saw my piece of luggage. And he finally gets the taxi driver to turn around on the ramp, the last ramp that we could have turned around on. We pull up to the terminal, and guess what? There's a carousel going around with one piece of luggage on it, and it's his. So that's the first incident. Get to the train station and get on the train, and of course they have the compartments like they have on European trains. So there's 5 children and Dad and me. There's 7 of us. There was no place 7 people could sit together. So 3 of us are here and 4 of us are here, and you're running back and forth, and the French are furious. So many children. We get off the train in Le Havre, and the taxi cabs aren't big enough for more than about 4 people. So we have to take 2 taxis. Guess what? When the first taxi pulls up to the hotel, the second taxi doesn't stop fast enough and rams into him. That's the second exciting thing. Those 2 taxi drivers screaming at each other in French. Papa's trying to ask them, please, how much do I owe you? They stop, they quit fighting, they confer with each other to decide how much they're going to charge us. And Daddy pays them, and they turn around and start fighting again. We go into the hotel, and of course we had 2 rooms. It got time to eat dinner, and Daddy took you down, all 5. Well, no, he didn't take Jim, because Jim was just 9 months old. He took 4 of you down for dinner, and then brought you back up after you had supper, and said, be very, very quiet. The French are very, in hotels, they do not like children in hotels. So please be very quiet. So he and I go down for dinner, and we're sitting there having a very lovely French meal. And the concierge comes in and says, Mr. Ralston, I need to speak to you. He says, we have very many complaints on your floor from children yelling and laughing and screaming. And do you remember what happened? I don't know. Daddy said he went up there and took care of it. Do you remember what he did?
He might have yelled.
And then he came down and needed a gin and tonic. And so, okay, the next morning, we get another taxi, 2 taxis to take us to the ship. We get on the ship, and we have 2 rooms, and we're all happy, and everybody is jumping around with joy. So that we go out to see the view, and we see all the people that work on the ship getting off. And we asked somebody, what's happening? Oh, Charles de Gaulle declared a strike for all the transportation workers in France. Well, evidently, Charles de Gaulle realized he was making a lot of tourists very unhappy, so he sent all the kitchen help came back on and made lunch. So then that night, because of that strike, we didn't leave in the morning, we left in the late afternoon. We all get in bed, and we headed out to Southampton. Okay, we get to Southampton. Little did we know that our wall of our cabin was the wall that separated us from the hold of the ship. So at probably 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, they're lowering the things that they're going to send to America into the hold. The cargo was swinging, and it hit the side of the wall right by our bunk. Well, Papa's laying there, Daddy's, Jack's laying there, jumps up, hits his head on the ceiling, and of course scared us all. Maybe Jim started screaming. I think you kids came running in. So anyhow, that was another exciting thing. Okay, we get across the Atlantic, and we put Jim in the nursery every morning after I fed him, and we told the children after they ate breakfast to have a good time. We'd see them at lunch. So the 4 children roamed the boat, and the only thing that Janice and Jack said that their dad had said to him, never go on anything with a red carpet, because a red carpet is first class and you're in second class. That's the blue carpet. And all of a sudden one day, you all found yourself on a red carpet. And Janice told me that her legs were like 2 sticks that she couldn't move because she knew she was supposed to be on a red carpet. And you just all froze. And eventually Jack got you to tiptoe out of there and get to look for a blue carpet. But later, through the years, Jeff decided maybe how in the world would a mother and dad let 4 children roam an ocean liner, unattended and unsupervised. And he asked me, he said, Mom, how could you do that? One of us could have fallen over. And I hate to say what I said, but I really mean it. I said, if you were stupid enough to climb the railing and fall in, one less idiot in the world. And I know it sounds terrible, but I asked Jack, I said, did you ever, I sort of just felt like you'd take care of each other. I asked Jack, did you ever have trouble? And he said, nobody ever even thought about climbing over the railing. So no, you took care of each other. And you had, I think, according to Jack, I don't know about according to you, Jeff, but according to Jack and Janice, that was 5 fun days. We landed at New York. And lo and behold, I don't think there's ever been another airline strike since. I didn't remember everyone before that. But there was Delta, and there wasn't any US Air, American. We finally got to Chicago. Then there was no way for us to get, we stayed 2 weeks in Chicago, and we had to come down to Tennessee, to Kingsport. There was no way to get from Chicago to Tennessee. So we rented a car and drove from Chicago to Louisville, got on a plane, and came to Kingsport. Spent a week and a half or so here in Kingsport. Then we had to get to New York. We took Piedmont from here to Washington, D.C., rented another car, got to New York, knew that we didn't have any tickets because our tickets were on a airline that was on strike. So he cajoled the ticket guy at the one that wasn't on strike to give us seats. And he was very successful. I was real surprised. He came back and he said, we're flying out on whatever airline that was still flying. So we landed in Lisbon and took 2 taxis to the hotel in Estoril on the beach. Beautiful hotel, right looking across the street from the beautiful beach, which was my reward for living through 4 weeks of bedlam. Anyhow, we go in to get checked in, and the fella at the counter says, "Oh, Mr. Ralston, you can't be here. You were flying in on TWA or whatever, and they're on strike. We don't have rooms for you." In the meantime, I'm sitting with 5 kids on these. Here's the pole. You know, you've seen these lovely seats that have a circle, upholstered circle around a pillar? Kids bouncing around on all of them. And the pool is in view. We could see the pool. And I can remember Jeannie saying, "I want my bathing suit. I want my bathing suit on." And I had all the suitcases there. And I was going to start digging your bathing suits out. Well, your dad came and said, "We haven't got any rooms. They've given our rooms away." I went through the ceiling. I said, "Somebody else doesn't have any rooms. We have 2 rooms. You have confirmed, says 2 rooms this date to that date. And I'm not leaving." Well, in the meantime, they were so upset and rattled, they found us 2 rooms in a hotel close by. Ha ha ha. They said close by. So I said, "Okay, if it's close by, I'll go there." The hotel was across the street from the beach. The second hotel was up the hill about 1/4 of a mile on the hill that gradually went up. No pool. You could see the beach, but you couldn't get there, and we didn't have a car. You kids were so disappointed. I was devastated. I kept saying, "I don't like it here. We're going back to that hotel," and tell them, "We're going to sleep in the lobby." And Daddy was so tired, so aggravated. He said, "Let's go to bed." We ate dinner, and we went to bed. In the meantime, without telling me, he called the Swiss Air and got us reservations on the next morning to fly back to Zug. He told me then, "We're going back to Zug. I have reservations." I don't know if I've ever been so upset. I said, "I'm not going. Kids and I are staying. You can go. We're going back to that hotel and get our 2 rooms back." But eventually I got you all dressed, and the car came. You were all in the car. I don't even think I was in yet. And I kept saying, "I'm not going. I'm going to stay. I've dreamt about this trip. I'm not going to go." And Daddy begging me, and the taxi driver standing there saying, "Mademoiselle, Madame," or whatever, "Madame, get in the car, please." And finally I got in the car with Jim on my lap, on the outside here. And I kept thinking, why am I doing this? Why am I going back to Zug without my reward for enduring a month of agony? And well, it wasn't agony, but the airline strike just ruined everything. And we came to a stop at a stoplight, and I remember I said, "Jack, I'm leaving. I'm getting out." And I remember that's when, I don't know if you did it, but your sister and your brother screaming, "Mommy, Mom, don't get out." And Jack is screaming at me, be sensible, have some brains." And I scared everybody, I guess, and I finally realized how selfish of me to make these poor little kids think their mother's gonna kill herself just because I can't stay at a hotel that I wanted to stay at. So I closed the door and went to the airport and flew home. The only good part of it was that Jeepers was waiting for us when we got there. Mrs. Loretz took care of Jeepers while we were gone. But that's Lisbon and Estoril.